5 absolute must big backyard items. Gotta have these, especially in DFW. Now it's winter, and nothing makes you dream of your perfect big backyard experience than winter where everything looks terrible. Let's hit it. My number 1 is a fire pit. All right, number 1's the fire pit. You gotta have it. Like I said, it's winter, so we're burning Christmas boxes and stuff, which, by the way, is one of the very best reasons to have a fire pit. Depending on where you live, you might have restrictions on what you can burn. We did a video on that, by the way, what you can burn in your backyard. Check that out. But right here where we are in the city limits. So it has to be in a confined, protected, safe place, which is why we did a slightly larger fire pit. We just built ours out of pavers. You can do yours out of whatever. But as you can see, I'm cleaning out the garden. So those are old tomato vines. That's an old basil bush, but I love it. I'm not throwing nearly as much stuff away or messing with it. I'm bringing it to the fire pit. But obviously our biggest and best use over here is hanging out with friends around the fire pit, staying warm all fall, all winter, a lot of the spring here in North Texas. And a lot of the firewood that we're burning here, we're getting whenever we have a down limb or whenever I do some pruning and things like that. So it's just part of that cycle of some of the burnable trash, some of the debris and things from the backyard, and getting to get out here and enjoy it. The other thing we love to do is to cook over the fire, do s'mores and all that good stuff. You got to get you a fire pit. Number 2 must have in the DFW big backyard is some sort of sport court, sport area, party pad, basically just a concrete slab. One of the jokes that we talk about is our kids don't ride bikes as well as a lot of other kids because they grew up with this really great, super fun backyard, but for a while we didn't have this, and they literally, like roller skates and bicycles, they rode in the dirt some, but they're not neighborhood kids as much. And so when we added this, it was huge. A lot of those type things started happening more and more. Of course, pickleball, basketball, foursquare, all sorts of fun stuff happens out here. But if you've got one of these, it just adds an element of, like I said, a party pad. We have parties out here. We put the tent up, we put chairs and tables. We've done fundraisers, all that kind of stuff. But also the kids are getting it out here with hoverboards and little scooters and roller skates, all that kind of stuff, wheels on hard surfaces. This thing is awesome. You're going to want one of these if you have a big backyard where you have a lot of dirt, a lot of grass, maybe you don't have super smooth ground in a lot of places. These are great. Even if you do have some big concrete driveways and things, the pickleball, the basketball, foursquare, all that kind of activity is really, really great. It is the favorite spot of a lot of our guests and almost every kid that's a guest. They want to be out here hot or cold, rain or shine. The sport court, the concrete slab, whatever you want to call it, pickleball is all the rage. We're out here playing pickleball. We play volleyball on this thing. Our kids hit into the net, tennis balls, volleyball serves, hitting wiffle balls off the batting tee. This is where a lot of the sports activity happens. There's one other spot, and I'll show you that next. But it's time for number 3, where we got to cool off sometimes. Talk about dreaming of your big backyard in the dead of winter. Number 3 is the swimming pool, but on my list, it's got to include a hot tub. In the top 5 must-haves, you must have the pool and the hot tub. Now, I know that's a big investment, so if you're looking at getting onto a property with land or you're already there, this doesn't always happen right away. We added this many years after we moved on to this property, but in North Texas, at least 4 months a year, if not more, many years, it is roasting hot. And so you're going to want to be able to hang out in the water, cool down. But it is North Texas, so there's more months than we often acknowledge that we are not getting in the pool, and that's where the hot tub comes in. So strong recommendation, top 5 must-haves, got to include a pool. Now, we did sort of the party pool. We're entertainers. We like to have people over all the time. So we did the one where you can play basketball and volleyball, where the bottom is pretty shallow on the ends and deeper in the middle. You do whatever. But we're pretty thoughtful on ours. We did the sun deck because a lot of times when the adults are hanging out, they don't really want to get in, but we can get them into the sun deck. So as you're thinking about your must-haves, think about designing that pool, if you can, to fit your family's needs in that transitional zone. If you haven't seen our zone video, check that one out, between the main home and the big backyard. That's where the pool lands for us. We love it. Gotta have it. Number 4 on the list, if you're gonna have the big backyard, if you're gonna have the space, let's grow something. So I'm a big fan of having an orchard and or a garden. Some people garden in pots. An orchard could be 2 or 3 trees. We've got the acreage here where I've got 30 or 40 trees here in the orchard and across the property growing all different kinds of fruit. And then in our garden, we keep it pretty simple. Believe it or not, I typically eat mostly carnivore. So a little bit of fruit when it's ripe, we're eating it. And then in the garden, Ours is a glorified berry garden and salsa garden. So you might grow a wild variety of things and you might just have a handful of things you like, but if you've got the space, there's something magical about eating what you grew in your soil, on your land, in your big backyard. And I would strongly recommend getting a handful of fruit trees, whatever you love, find a variety that grows well in your area. If you're in North Texas in the DFW area like we are, you can do really well with peaches. Believe it or not, there's several apple varieties that do pretty well here. You can do figs, you can do plums, there's even some cherries, there's a bunch of other stuff. So enjoy the orchard, that's fun. Guests love it, kids love it. There's something pretty romantic about the kids being out in the yard, picking berries, eating them, jumping in the pool, running around, playing and having a great time. So number 4, garden and or orchard. Use your space, grow something, create something, enjoy it, share it with the neighbors. You're gonna love it. Number 5, absolute must-have DFW big backyard item, in my opinion, is a pond. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but we actually have 2 ponds. There's a small one over here, big one over here. When we're really full to capacity, we have a little flow between the 2. We can stock the pond with fish. The kids come out and fish. They have a blast. They jump in sometimes. If we give them real free rein, they'll hook a floatable pool or float to the back of a four-wheeler and ride around this thing and drag each other. So lots of fun in this thing. If you don't have a pond, in some ways, you might have some drainage issues if you have a large enough lot. This was originally created for us, A, because we love it, B, to solve some drainage issues. This was a lower lying area. They just pooled up. It was always a little muggy and swampy. It was mosquito infested. So we turned a negative into a positive, even though in the dead of winter right now for us, we're only about half full, but we can still enjoy it. Still fun to look at. It brings the ducks in. It brings all kinds of birds and wildlife. Creates kind of a full ecosystem here where we have all the predators and the prey. We don't have anything major. We don't have anything real scary or dangerous in our area because we're surrounded by so many homes. But the pond itself creates an attraction for birds and wildlife and lizards and all that good stuff. The kids enjoy it. Their mama and I enjoy it. We come out and sit by it in the summer in the shade. It's a really great addition to your property. It's a big time value add when it comes time for resale. If you have water issues between a pond and a well, you can do really, really well. But if all else fails, get you a pond, enjoy looking at it, maybe some fishing, enjoy the wildlife. Number 5 on my top 5 things, got to get you a pond. So if you're thinking about buying a property with land or creating your dream property with land, those are my 5 must-haves. Yours might be different. My top 5 are you got to have a fire pit. Too many uses for that not to have one. You got to have some sort of sport court. You got to have a place for a hard surface concrete slab. So useful. You got to have the pool, and if you're going to have the pool, you got to have the hot tub. So pool and hot tub for sure. And then I think you need to grow something that you can eat and share with other people. So a garden, orchard, one or both. And then a pond is a game changer. Almost nobody else can have a pond. Even if you need to do a little koi pond, it'll create some natural flow. You got to have a pond. Now listen, if you do want to buy one or you do want to create one, give me a call. My information's below. We don't just make videos. We help people buy and sell and create the backyard, big backyard properties, beautiful homes, awesome houses with some small acreage, a handful of acres so they can truly love where they live. Those are my 5 must, but we do have a few bonus honorable mentions as well. Barbecue area, outdoor hangout space, probably want a place to lay out outside. That's usually critical if you got the pool situation worked out. Probably need some place to put your camper or camping gear. Probably need access to the backyard, maybe a small road, place for go-karts, four-wheelers, lawnmower, that sort of thing. Greenhouse is clutch so that you can grow all your stuff in the wintertime. You're going to want a well, definitely want some fresh water. Open play area, pergola, outdoor dining, that's always good. A tree house is clutch. You're going to want a play area for the little kids and a play area for the big kids. You definitely want to dunk on your kids when you lower the rim. A bocce pit, cornhole, washers, horseshoes, that sort of thing. You know, maybe there's more.